If your dating profile is getting matches but not the right matches, it's probably not your looks, it's the tiny signals your profile is sending without you realizing. Hello and welcome back to the Love Machine podcast. I'm James Preece, and today we're doing something that can genuinely change your dating results without you changing who you are. Because here's the really frustrating bit about online dating and dating apps. You can be smart, warm, attractive, successful, emotionally available, and still accidentally write a profile that screams low effort, closed off, or not sure what I want to the exact people you really do want to meet. And then you start thinking, is it me? When really it's your profile that is off. And my guest to help today is the fantastic Rachel Mailer, a dating and confidence coach who went from unfulfilling dating experiences to finding lasting love. And now she helps ambitious, career-driven women step into their sparkle and attract high-value love with psychology, strategy, and a tiny bit of magic. We're going to be diving into her dating profile polarity audit, and I promise you'll never look at prompts, photos, or even punctuation the same way again. And the stat that really stood out to me for this week is in Hinge's research on digital body language, 77% of data said things like emojis, punctuation, and message style reveal a lot about someone's intentions, meaning the small stuff that you think doesn't matter really is not so small at all. So in this episode, we're going to get practical. We'll unpack the subtle tweaks that can make you come across warmer, more confident, more dateable, and more I know what I want, without turning your profile into a cringe sales page. If you're ready for better matches, better dates, and that calm feeling of finally this is more like it, you're going to love this one today. Rachel, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. I'm so pleased to have you on here. You look absolutely fabulous in your wonderful pink outfit and your hearts are everywhere. Can you show me your nails again, just to show me? Wonderful, really, really cool. For anyone that can't see that and just listening to this, very, very sparkly, cool nails. I didn't get mine done today, I'm afraid. So I'm sorry about that. But nice to see you. Can you tell everyone a bit more about you? Because you've come from struggling with dating to being in a happy long-term relationship, haven't you?
Yes, I have. So my story is all about how I went from perpetual single Pringle to wifey for lifey,
Mm.
and this really emerged. Like I went on to online dating back in 2014, on and off, just trying to wing it basically. And then when I turned 30 in 2019, I thought, okay, something's got to give. Maybe it is actually what I'm doing is the wrong thing. And I tried to search for help, but nothing stuck. So I evaluated how I was turning up on my dating profile. I tweaked tiny things like push my feminine energy and my confidence out into a picture. Like, how do you do that?
Mm.
How do you show that you're fun and energetic without it coming across cringy or clowny? Or in, you're just too sociable. So I dived into that. I dived into the types of questions that I would ask people to filter down who was actually right for me. And I started being a bit braver on my dates and in my how I showed up. So I would ask them, I worked out what my non-negotiables were is the number one thing to do. What do I actually want out of this relationship, which is why I'm going on these dates and putting myself through this.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about that? And for me, it was to get married and then have children. I wanted that next step for myself. Yes, I'm independent, and I know your listeners are as well. They can do it on their own, but why should we have to? So I knew that these steps would honestly help me. And then when I found my person, I realized that my clients at the time were asking me for relationship help. So I was like, don't know if this will work for you, but here you go.
Mm-hmm.
And it did. It had great results, and my clients found their person within a couple of months of using these different techniques and making these tweaks. And that's when I really found that I had the secret sauce that
Mm-hmm.
just had to be shared. I'm very chatty, so I was not going to keep it to myself.
That's a wonderful story. I think so many people that come to me in particular, they do struggle with these dating sites and dating apps They go on there and they go through the cycle of creating an account, doesn't work out. A few days later, they delete it and then they start again next week on a different app. Which apps and sites do you think are the best for a long-term relationship?
I think it depends on what you're looking for, um, and what kind of information the apps have. I personally suggest to use at least 2 apps and think of them more like a tool to facilitate the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're thinking of like business, it would be a networking event, or if you're doing it in person, it will be, you know, that dating group that you're going to. Yes, when you go on an app and then you go on a different one, you might find the same people on there, which is great, because if you're talking to someone, then you can potentially find out more information about them on a different app. Hinge is a great one for that. It gives you a lot of free information about a person, which I personally did use. And then I used Tinder as well, just because it was the first one. You know, go back to the original.
So you meant you got the information about someone, so and so's a doctor who works in this area, and you went and Googled them after. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, so definitely use Google. You know, you want to, first of all, especially as a woman, make sure that they are who they say they are. So you can do like a reverse image search on Google, and that usually is linked to like their Facebook and stuff like that. And you're like, oh yeah, the pictures match, that makes sense. Then you can, you know, if you may find that they're also on a different app as well, you know, as you're swiping through, and then that will show you a bit more information. But that's a bit hit and miss because they might not be on there.
They might not. I know that some apps like Hinge allow you to connect your Instagram account, and that's good and bad. Yeah. It's good. You can go and look at someone's profile in more detail. But a lot of people, women do this in particular, they do it purely to collect followers. So I don't know if men do this so much to collect followers, but women do it all the time. They say, I'm not on here very much, but add me on Instagram and I'll talk to you on there. And then they never talk to you from my client's perspective. So it's good to go and spy and see what's going on if you want to. But I think doing the research at the start is important if you've actually got a date lined up. But if you start researching everybody before you've met them and before you've even engaged with them in the conversation, it's a bit of a long path to go down, I think. But it's important. I think what you're saying, though, is working out your non-negotiables right from the start. And if you really want someone who's serious, then getting evidence that they're serious is going to be a good thing overall. Because men will always say that they're serious and they're not. I'm not saying that all men aren't serious, but they will, even the ones that want a bit of fun won't always be honest about it because they know women will be turned off by it overall. So when you help people to set their profiles up at the start, I think the photos are the most important thing, followed by the prompts. So let's talk about the photos then. And as you mentioned then, having pictures of you going out being too social, which means pictures of you with a drink in every hand isn't going to be the best way. What pictures do you recommend that someone does have?
I think it's important to first start with what they shouldn't have. And that is and that is, you know, a picture in a suit as a woman, because you want to be, yes, it might show that you are strong, independent business, you might run your own business, but that is not necessarily what the man, your high value man, is looking for. They are in their masculine energy and you want that too. So you want to show your feminine side. You want to show your, you know, fun. Perhaps you are at a work event, but you're in a sparkly dress, showing your personality. Maybe you're doing karaoke. Maybe you're, you know, hiking. You want to show some kind of activity that you like doing that isn't drinking. You want to, you know, it's fine to have a group picture of you and your friends, but not every single one, because no one wants to play Where's Wally, and that goes for the men as well. And then you within your, you know, perhaps you want to show just like those different sides of your personality, and definitely if you, for example, like to travel, perhaps it's you on a beach somewhere or showing a nice view, and then, as you said, within the criteria of the dating profile, you can go a bit more into detail about sometimes particular photos, perhaps, you know, this was a great memory that you had, or, you know, maybe it's even an aspiration, like this would be a great thing to share with my partner or so and so.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's got to add value though. Some women put pictures up and you can't even, or even men do this as well, and you can't really see that it's them because the pictures, they are in a big view of the nice scenery, but the picture of them is like a tiny little dot in the corner, or they've got coats on or sunglasses and you can't see what they look like. So I think it makes sure that it's all about advertising you because it's your advert, it's your promotional content to go out there. Because men are very visual, of course. Men will go on pictures before they do anything else. If they don't like what they see, they will swipe away. Of course, women do that as well. But I think men are. What do you think was more important to you when you were looking? Was it the profiles or was it the actual photos?
It was definitely a bit of both.
Hmm.
However, I am a firm believer that you do need to be attracted to them. So you are going to be looking at the pictures first.
Yes.
Many apps, you know, especially things like Tinder, they don't really have much of a bio. It is purely just the swiping of the pictures. And statistics show that it takes about 3 seconds to make a subconscious judgment. So you have 3 seconds to, even if, you know, you're thinking, oh, maybe there's potential there, I'll just do it in anyway, I'll swipe right anyway, make the decision later. It's still, you might have some kind of bias in those 3 seconds in your subconscious playing a part. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. And that's why, you know, especially that first picture, you want to convey all those things. Like you said, don't be wearing hats, don't be, you know, people want to see your full face. Make sure it's an up-to-date photo in the last couple of years, or just do a fresh one then. A great tip is, if you're taking a up-to-date picture, then have it in natural sunlight. So you don't necessarily need to be outside, but you can be inside facing a window, and then that natural sunlight will make you a bit more glowy and make the picture brighter, smile, and that will bring your energy across in the photo.
That's the word, I think, energy. You've got to convey a positive, probably feminine energy into your pictures because so many women don't do that. They don't. And I work with lots of men and women, but we're looking at the men who are swiping away on women. A lot of women think it's okay just to have them and their friends. And as you mentioned, they're drinking and they're going out doing socializing, or they just them looking a little bit moody. I think energy that shows that you're a fun person to be spending time with is what it's all about. And that's so important. And even just smiling. If you look miserable, no one's going to swipe with you, male or female, because why would they want to spend time with someone that's going to make you unhappy? You want to convey your energy in all the different ways. And I agree about dressing a bit more softly. And it's not a LinkedIn profile. This is about a dating app. So you want to convey yourself. How would you be on a date? What would you actually wear on a date? That's what I think is important. And then wear that outfit, as long as you feel comfortable in it and you feel attractive. And then, of course, we come on to the bios. And we, as coaches, we see all sorts of weird and wonderful bios, don't we? And people that don't know what to write in their profiles. I love bananas is one I saw the other day. So the other day, people write absolute gibberish. What do you think should be put into the prompts and the bios?
I definitely think you should be honest about what you want out of the relationship. A lot you can select, you know, ready for long-term relationship, looking for, open to, exactly. So you should pick the one that represents what you're looking for. And then within that, you know, you can select your real age, your real height, and then you can go into more detail, you know, someone to build a family with, if that's what your goal is. Sorry. And, you know, what are your kind of non-negotiables? Like, put them out on there straight away. And then if that aligns, you know, they might send you a message. You can double check. This goes into the kind of high value questions you're going to be asking them. I suggest avoiding saying things like how's your day, because to be honest, no one really cares at that point. You want to say what fun thing happened on the weekend if it's a Monday. So they have to think a bit more deeply about, okay, what fun thing did happen? Did nothing fun happen? Okay, if nothing fun happened, you'd be like, oh, maybe we should do something fun together. And start a conversation that way. You know, what kind of hobbies do you like that are fun? And then you can just kind of let it flow, and you might find that you guys have something in common there, or you don't, and it's a new experience that you're open to, which then can become a date. So these conversations can happen naturally as you just progress and ask the right questions.
Definitely. And I think you're right. It's got to stimulate the conversation in the right way. Your pictures, your prompts, your opening lines have all got to stimulate conversation. If you have a very boring, dull profile that says, oh, this is what I like doing, how does someone know if you're a match for them? How does someone know what you're looking for? If you want to settle down quickly, you should convey that in the right way. And I agree about putting non-negotiables, but I would frame them in a really positive way. Talk about what you want rather than what you don't want, because it can come across a bit negative, of course, if you write, I don't want, the biggest one I always say is that no time wasters, please. That's the big one. Of course, it's not going to put off any time wasters just writing that in your profile, is it? Overall. Now, thinking back to when you were using the apps and the site yourself, or perhaps with your clients, did you get any weird and wonderful messages that men sent you that made you think, that's quite funny, but inappropriate, or it got your attention in a different way?
Definitely. There would be some, you know, chat up lines, one-liners, unsolicited photos. All are a big no. You know, we don't ask for that. And I think from a guy, you have to think about, it's just being a nice human, saying, hey, my name is absolutely fine. You know, we're looking for genuine and open to learning and developing and growing together. So, you know, we're not looking for fun. That screams fun. And if you're messaging someone that is clearly shown from their profile that they want something serious, then that is going to be an immediate no. Even if you're just trying to be funny, you think, you know, perhaps this person will see the joke. When it's really hard to see a joke from a text, from a message. So I think that is just a no.
Do men still do that? Do they send inappropriate pictures on the apps, or do they wait to go on WhatsApp and do this?
No, that still happens quite a lot.
Does it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad to know that it still happens, and but it's, yeah, I don't understand honestly what those people that are doing it think is going to happen, because no one that I know, no woman that I know has ever been like, thank you so much, this has changed my day, I am so happy to see this, yes, I'll go out on a date with you. You know, it just
it's bizarre.
It's mind-blowing, really.
I've had it a few times through Instagram. Women have sent me half-naked pictures on there. And it's not women that are OnlyFans trying to get me to pay for their memberships, but just women think, you know what? I'll send James a picture. That's great. Not on my current account. This is back when I had a really big account. It was just a little bit strange. But it's always like, I'm married. Why are you sending me pictures? But of course, I was polite about it. I think men don't, it's different from men. I don't particularly want to turn down pictures being sent to me, but I have to set my boundaries so that I'm married. It's not really appropriate. On the other hand, women being overwhelmed is completely wrong. And I don't see it that much, mainly because I'm managing lots of male clients on their profiles, but I do work with women all the time as well. Interesting. I'm sorry that still happens to anyone listening. And if that does happen, the best thing to do is just to report them to the app, and they'll be taken off. If women don't stick up for each other and support them, then someone else will just be offended by the next picture. But I think we need to train men to be better when it comes to this. And that's what I'm doing. I do that all the time. Behave yourself. Men listening, if you're thinking about doing this, your friends might tell you that's the way to attract women. It's not. It's the way to be single for until you're 50 if you start doing that. So don't do it. And you have part of your coaching, you do something called your dating profile polarity audit. What exactly is that?
So that's what we've have spoken about, talking about the pictures, the bio, what you should be messaging, those high value questions, and really setting the person up for success. So going through what their non-negotiables are, because you have to know what the end goal is for you to then filter with your boundaries of who you want this person to be that you're sharing your life with. It is one of the most important decisions that you will make in your life, because then you are, for a better word, stuck with them. But it is you are going to choose to spend your life with them. So it needs to be the right person for you. So why not start right at the beginning with your dating profile? And then, we go through how to message them, who should ask who on a date, what do I wear on the date, what do I say on the date. I'm there in your back pocket being like, first take a breath, and then let's go with a clear head, let's go back to what you're trying to get out of that. And I try to teach my clients that everything we do needs to have some kind of intention to it. What is the intention of this conversation? What is the intention of that you're trying to get out of this date? Is your first one should be purely just to get to know them, to see if actually what they said on their profile aligns with what they're saying in person. Do you like the look of them? Because if you, for example, want children and you don't like the look of them, that probably won't work out.
No.
At some point. So you need to really think quite logically and critically about, how people are showing up. And especially in those first couple of dates, we tend as women to see the good in people, see the potential in them, but we really need to reel that back in, because you can't build your life on potential. People need to step up to your level, and if they can't, then unfortunately you need to say bye to them, because you don't want to be in a situation where you do really deeply care of them and then you find out that they don't want kids, they don't want to get married, they don't like traveling, they hate waking up in the morning, and you making them go for a run, and they've just been doing it because they care about you, but now it's got to the resentment part. So it's all about having these conversations that may not seem important, but they are when they are built, and they all compound. So why don't we just kind of save the heartbreak and do this straight from the beginning? And that starts with your profile and then those intentional conversations moving forward.
Definitely. It's really important you have those conversations quite early on. Because like you said, there's nothing worse than going into a relationship 9 months in, and then you realize they want completely different things to you. So don't be afraid to have those slightly difficult conversations early. Do it in a nice way. If your goal is to have kids, then find that out maybe on the second date if they want to have kids. So what do you want? What are your dreams and hopes for the future? They might say, I want to go and move to America and travel around on a yacht for the next 20 years. They might say, I want to have kids. Great, wonderful. You want to have kids. You've got it out of them. You've found the truth out. If they won't admit to you, then you've got to go a bit deeper and be a bit more direct. It's better to be direct and maybe have an awkward moment than to waste the next 9, 10 years of your life with the wrong person. And I do see that quite a lot, the consequences, people that have tried to date someone thinking they might change. Or as you mentioned, seeing the potential and what might happen. And unmet expectations are one of the biggest reasons for failed relationships. Thinking someone's going to suddenly do what you want them to do. And you know what? They're quite happy going along for the ride. And that's why we end up with situationships and all those horrible things that happen. And I had a new client the other day, and she's always been in a situationship because she's scared to have those conversations until it's too late. So don't be scared, and use your dating profile to go out there and to find someone absolutely amazing. How do you know if someone is serious without asking these questions? I mean, in terms of sort of attitude, the way that they treat you. What are good red flag? Not good red flags. What are green flags to look out for?
I For me, this comes back to my spread dating method. So
Hmm.
it's about in those, first month or so of dating, you want to not go fast. Your head will be like, I want to see them all the time. This is my person. I have now decided that I like them, so I need to be around them all the time.
Yeah.
But this method helps you breathe and slow down and only provide them with 2 dates a week to see you, and not on the prime time as in Friday, Saturday or Sunday. Because if you want to cut the date short, you can use work as an excuse. Obviously it depends on how your working week goes. Maybe you do work on the weekend, that's up to you. But usually you want to be able to kind of give them a cliffhanger at the end of your date, so they want to then see you again. And it's important to take things slow so that you can then process how you are actually feeling on the date, whether you do have a connection or not, whether oh, he said that we are going to meet up again and do this activity together on our next date. Well, time will tell whether those words are true.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. We think, especially as women, and I know I felt this as well, that my clock was running out, so everything needed to happen really quickly. But really, to make these decisions and to know that they are the person for you, you do need to slow down, because we can't make massive important decisions when we're just in this whirlwind romance. And that's when you find, I didn't realize that this was even happening to me, because it happened so quickly, because I moved in with him in like a week and now we're on holiday together. And you're like, whoa, okay, interesting. So that's, you need to slow down and allow that time to sit there. And it is true, distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Hmm.
But also, if he doesn't message you, then that is your answer.
Yeah, absolutely right. I slow things down. The amount of couples that I see that accelerate things so quickly, so early on, booking holidays, moving in, it rarely works, because you can't be that intense all the time. And eventually it's going to hit a wall. And so I can't go any further. One of you is going to want to go further than the other. And then you're going to have arguments. Take it slowly. It's like a massive, lovely meal you're going to go for. Don't gobble it all up immediately, and you're going to be sick. Take your time to savor it as you go on. That's the best way. And I do sadly have to tell a lot of my clients that as well, to take your time. It should be enjoyable. But as you mentioned, sometimes people think my clock is ticking, or I finally met someone I connect with. It's been all this time. I've been single for years. I want to make this work. If you rush it, it's not going to work. Take your time and it's much more likely to work. And speaking of taking time and things working out, what was it about your partner that made you think, wow, this is the right person for me? Was it on a profile? Was it on a first date? What was it?
It was a multitude of things. Their profile was, I would say, pretty standard. But obviously, like the pictures, made conversation. We had good chats and banter in there. That was important for me. Someone to make me laugh and also laugh at my pretty bad jokes. And then when we met up, it was consistent. I wasn't used to someone replying to me straight away, for example, on the dating apps. It was kind of playing the game. Like they would wait 2 hours, so I would wait 2 hours. But there was none of that. He replied straight away, and I was like, this is amazing. What? Okay, well, let's calm down, coach myself. And see what happens. We would book in dates while still on the date. That's a really clear sign that you are on the same page, that he is interested. I then, after the 4th date, I was like, oh, I'm available on Thursday or Friday. Do you want to meet up then? I remember you saying you were available. And then I started asking him out, and it became more of a mutual thing. We were both clearly showing signs that we wanted to keep hanging out with each other. We were doing activities together. Activities are literally the best way to bond, make memories together, you know, have a bit of fun. So there isn't those awkward silences. You then have those memories, shared memories together that you can go back on the next date. Like, oh, remember when that happened? It was hilarious. And all of these things will bond you together. And then that just became a thing. We just kept seeing each other. He came to a party with me and my friends, so it was a nice way to get introduced to everyone. You know, then I was getting introduced to his friends, which is a clear sign that he wants me to be a part of his life. And yeah, just keep on making those steps, had, you know, those good butterfly feelings, and kept up that conversation. We had, on the first date, we had those conversations of what do you want out of a relationship? And mine was to get married and then have kids. And he was like, yeah, I definitely want children and I'm open to marriage. That was enough to me to be like, okay, well, you're open to marriage. It's not 100% yes, but you're open to it. So if we have a great connection, then the logically thing is, you know, I want to get married first before having children, and we've built this really strong connection, so that's what's gonna happen. And it was.
That's such a wonderful story. It gives people hope that are out there struggling at the moment, that this absolutely can work. It's about consistency, working together as a team, growing together, shared experiences, stating what you want, setting your boundaries, do all these things, do them early on, and you've got every chance of making it work. So that's amazing. Thank you, Rachel, for that. We're coming towards the end, so I'm going to ask you the question that I ask everyone at the end of the podcast. And you've sort of answered it already, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on this in a little bit more detail. Do you believe in soulmates?
Yes.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that for me? That was a very profound yes, but I like that. Okay.
Yes, I think it's, you know, we as children have all these movies that we grow up on, and there is an essence of you found your fairy tale within that, but there's also the world as we know it is growing and changing so fast that we do have to put in that effort at the beginning. So setting up your profile, going on dates, you know, it's not that fairy tale of he's gonna ring my doorbell and, you know, ask if there's a beautiful maiden sitting somewhere in the house sort of thing. It's more the happily ever beginning that you can have. And I 100% think that your person is out there for you, and they are also looking for you as well. It's not just they're sitting in their house waiting for you to come up either. You know, they're actively looking for you. So if you're both actively looking for each other, the likelihood is you are going to meet each other if you are putting in the right steps at the beginning to make sure that you are showing your feminine energy. He has set up his profile to attract that right woman into his life, and then you guys will connect on a physical level, and then you'll create that deeper foundation with, you know, the questions you ask, the dates you go on, and really find out. And it is your kind of inspector mode of, are you guys compatible? And that's what you find out on dates. You know, we can't teach that compatibility. That is something that you have to put into action. And I always relate it back to the analogy of driving a car. You know, you can read up about how to drive a car, but until you sit in the car and you get on the road, you won't actually know how to drive the car. So it's the same with love. You know, we can teach you and teach you and teach you, and you can have all this knowledge about how love works and how connection is built and how confidence in dating will grow and help you attract your partner. But until you actually, you know, put on your big girl pants and like put on your pretty dress, go out there and get into the world, and it is scary, especially the first couple of times you do it. You know, that's how you build the quickest confidence and really can then start to express how you're feeling. And just know that if you do get rejected at any point, and this goes for men and women, it just means that they're not your person, and that is fine, because you would be doing a disservice to both of you, actually to all four partners involved. So that would be you, him, your person, and his person, all four people, if you then created a relationship that you know wouldn't work. So just remember, you're there to find your person, and they are also looking for you too. So just keep going, and that's why we provide the support.
I love that. What a wonderful way of phrasing that. It reminds me, recently I did a piece for a magazine about the sort of fairy tale thoughts that we're told as children we should believe. And they said, well, you know what? Even Cinderella had to dress up and go to the ball in the first place in order to meet her Prince Charming. So the very simple thing, what you just said there, get yourself ready, go and take some action, go onto the dating sites, go out in real life, get some help from professionals like us if you want it, but just do something. Get yourself going. Don't sit there wallowing, hoping that someone's going to knock on your door magically and say, here I am. And I love the fact that you're helping people do this. It's such an important job to do. How does somebody find out more about you if they want to find out how you can help?
Yeah, so you can go to my Instagram. It's at Rachel Mailer Coaching, and you can just drop me a DM. I have actually created a Queen Energy dating quiz, which will show you how you are projecting your energy outwards, because it's great to have it, all that confidence within us, but if it's not being projected out, say on your dating profile or in person, then it will be really hard to make that connection to your person that's out there. So if you would like that, you can just DM me the word quiz and I will share that with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I will put everything into the notes as well. And a real pleasure talking to you. I hope we get to talk again another time. Yeah. Wonderful information. And thank you for being so happy and positive and supporting people.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to give you a free copy of my latest book, which you can download right now from my website, jamespreece.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share the love by taking a few seconds to write a positive review on the iTunes store right now. See you next time.